Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome to an early installment of the ArchCast. Our scheduled guest, Koa Himari, got herself a dose of the monkey AIDS and is currently dying somewhere in heaven, hell, Africa.
Somewhere.
What was the backstory?
Hell, I think, is the name of the place.
Hell. No, that was Haven. I don't think hell is Haven. I think there's a difference there.
Oh. Why would they call it Haven?
Disgusting.
It's very strange. Maybe it's Monkey Banana Land or something.
Monkey Banana Land. Right, that's good enough. Monkey Banana Land. There we are. She will be getting on, but not today. We've rescheduled her for the 14th of next month, so hopefully the monkey fever will pass by then.
We'll see.
Now, this does give us an excellent opportunity to talk about a couple other little things that have been going on, though, as the world never rests, does it? We do have the... today's probably prime topic will have to be Disney and what's going to be happening over in the United States of soon-to-be conservatism, I think. That will be very fun. Well, finally, Kyle's country has discovered its balls. It took it a while. It really goddamn took it a while. But finally, the US has become a male country again. Congratulations, Kyle.
Oh, thank you very much. We'll see how Norway does. Norway's next. Time for you to find your balls.
Oh, we're doing fine. I mean, Sweden is currently in open revolt, like riot police shooting people in the streets, etc. Full-on funny business over there. So, by comparison, we're doing quite well, honestly.
The Norwegians are just looking down at them from the mountain highlands like, burn.
The Swedes are particularly disgusting people, but hey, nothing particularly new in that statement. But we will begin with the appetizer, Victoria 3, since, well, there's been some interesting developments there where the development version was leaked. It appears that we have received more or less confirmation that this was done by an internal beta tester, I believe. There's a post here on the Paradox forum talking a bit about it, where he says that the stream of an in-development build of the game was shared with a small group of testers, was being broadcast within a small online community. So what seems to have happened is that Paradox have their own little testing teams. Now, whether or not this is their paid teams or not, we don't know, because Paradox fired most of them a while ago.
Whoops. Shouldn't have done that.
Which, I'm just saying, Paradox, maybe you wouldn't have these problems if you'd sticked with the paid professionals, but hey, details and all that, of course.
Yeah. Whoops.
Whoops, indeed. But yes, the development version was leaked, and then people started streaming this on a Discord server, apparently, from what I've heard. And then it just kind of went crazy from there, really, with the first and foremost the gameplay being leaked, which is, you know, okay, leaked gameplay and screenshots and shit. It's not an ideal situation, but it's not a 5-alarm fire either. And then the entire game was leaked.
Yeah, that escalated rather quickly, didn't it?
Yeah, that's one hell of a data breach, no doubt about it, really. And it caused quite a bit of uproar. Paradox themselves are fuming about this right now. The post begins with, as the saying goes, we're not mad, just disappointed. As the saying goes, I am going to call bullshit on that one, as they have been not even copyright claiming, straight up copyright striking everyone who's been talking about this, even just straight up talking about it as well. They've been striking screenshots, they've been striking videos, though amusingly enough, they've been very selective in their enforcement, as last time I checked, you can actually still find the leaked gameplay on YouTube, easy peasy.
Yeah. So Go
I
ahead.
even because they sniped my video on this too, so I sent a email to their lawyer, which I was provided by YouTube, and like, hey, this is still fair use. There's no exception in the fair use doctrine saying that, oh, if your product isn't done, you can just ignore fair use. They didn't respond to that. They simply sent an email back saying that no, we're going to keep doing this, and we're going to refuse to talk to you, which is a wonderful way of resolving these things, surely.
Yep. And what's funny is I did look on this on my end because I do copyright protection and stuff like that. And hearing about DMCA abuse, where corporations abuse DMCA to shut down fair use, to shut down criticism, is nothing out of the ordinary for megacorps or corporations to do. This just goes to show that Paradox is not only panicking about the build, mad. They are furious, but they are going around striking anyone who dares speaks out about it. The thing is, Arch never signed a contract with Paradox. He's not held to any agreement. He just found some pictures online. Using those to talk about in a fair use sort of setting where you didn't just simply redistribute the images or whatever, you changed it, you talked about it, you discussed these ideas, and you critiqued it, which is again under fair use. So yeah, Paradox is going around and absolutely freaking out and sending out DMCA strikes against anyone. So yeah, that's pretty bad.
Yep. Again, I do. The thing is, too, again, I've seen some people who have been able to keep their videos up. I've been seeing people with straight up gameplay being shown, keeping their videos up. So I don't know what's going on there, but there you go.
Yep, they just decided to strike you for merely talking about it and having a screenshot.
Because initially there was the theory that perhaps Paradox had done this on purpose to try and create hype for their game. Because, that seemed like a decent enough idea, kind of. Like, okay, well, there's a lot of people that are very skeptical about our game and our history here, so maybe we'll leak it and we'll go, whoopsie, and we'll get tons of interest from it, tons of attention, etc. Doesn't seem to be the case. So they have responded rather stridently to this. So I think we can assume that this was probably a straight up leak.
Yes, and they must be doing damage control because this looks like an Imperator Rome situation. They know where this is headed. I'm surprised they made this mistake too.
Well, there's the interesting part. Now that we've bought enough time for people to realize the stream is happening on a Friday, I know, bad timing. But here's the interesting thing, because Wiz here is one of the game directors. Okay, so he's involved directly in the game development. You can probably, he knows what's going on.
Yes.
He tries to explain in this post here why this is bad, like why we shouldn't believe why we shouldn't believe our lying eyes, essentially, is the gist of all of this, saying that it will complicate the Q&A process for them if they receive feedback on the current build. So they don't want feedback on that. They don't want people contacting them based on that, because it'll make things complicated. Now here's the thing. What people are complaining about isn't the bugs. People aren't complaining about the crashes. Everyone knows this is a very early beta build. Nobody is going like, oh, well, the performance, blah, blah, blah. No, people are criticizing specific mechanics, and specific mechanics that we have already seen announced in their dev diaries.
Yes.
So to then turn around and go like, no, you can't believe the leak. Okay, but you've shown us this in your promotional material. Are you saying that your dev diaries are just bullshit? Like, which is it?
Honestly, the best thing for Paradox here, and I think it is bullshit, by the way, would be full transparency with the development of the game now. That is the only correct course for them to take. They're not going to take it because they don't want to listen. And we already know Paradox is arrogant. I mean, look at how they handled Imperator Rome. Look at what they did to Stellaris. Look at what they did to Europa Universalis 4 with the Leviathan update. And look at how they lied with Hearts of Iron 4 in the No One Step Back expansion. where they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna let the modders, know everything that we're changing so that the mods won't break, and they released it, and the modders didn't know how to get the damn thing to work with their mods. And it took them months to get things working again, because a lot of modders just gave up too. Ugh.
Yes, Paradox does not have a particularly great track record recently. They simply don't. And let me just make this clear as well here before we go any further. This leaked version, which I'm not going to bother trying to play it or anything like that. I've just looked at the stuff. I looked about people talking about it. So this is secondhand information, but the idea of critiquing a build that is unfinished, let's address that, shall we? Because there is absolutely a valid point there. Like, we can't look at this and go, oh, this is absolutely the finished project, which is why we are saying that, stuff like crashes, performance issues, they're probably going to get fixed. Probably, bearing in mind Paradox's track record there too.
Yeah, hopefully.
But what's the problem is, like, we can take a very, very, very concrete example, for example. A concrete example, for example. There you go. Fuck me.
Don't worry about it.
The trade routes and tariffs dev diary. I'll send you that one here, Carl, so you can bring it up on screen.
All right.
So this was dev diary 38. It was posted in March, so it ain't old. Like, this is recent news, right? And a lot of people were being, well, hold on a second, this is a bit weird, because they were mentioning that the economic market, so your internal market, that will operate a la Victoria 2. So if you have 200 units of steel, your internal market industries will go, oh, I want that bit of steel, I want that bit of steel, and they'll kind of like bid amongst each other like they should. However, there is no external market. Zero zip nilch null. Your people do not engage with that market at all. You have to manually import everything required. If you need 10 units of steel, you need to manually import those 10 units of steel.
That's infuriating. Okay, so one of the things that bothers me with grand strategy games, not to get too much on a tangent here, but that's the same thing they ruined with like the Empire management system, I forget what it was called in Stellaris, where it was macro based, where the AI would sort of do its own thing, and you were the galactic emperor of the Empire, and it would sort of, the planets would be able to take care of themselves relatively. You didn't have to micromanage every aspect, because that was annoying. Paradox has gone this new trip of going like, the players should micromanage every aspect of their nation because there's not that many mechanics in our game anymore, and if they have to micromanage every mechanic, that's gameplay, right? That's what they're doing here. They think this is friggin' gameplay, and while technically, yeah, it's boring as shit when you have to micromanage markets like that. Like, you are leading a nation. That stuff will happen in the background. You should be able to influence it, but to directly get involved and have to engage with it? Ugh. Gross.
Yeah. And here's the thing, too. We are not critiquing a build error. We're not critiquing a crash problem. We're not critiquing a something that could easily change, like a minutia or a tiny little detail somewhere. This is in their dev diary. Like, this is something they have announced. Like, we must be able to assume that it is Paradox's plan to implement the feature that they have announced. That seems reasonable.
God, it's annoying. At the same time, they're like, let's take away the ability for you to interact with the warfare. The warfare system you interact with by controlling armies. You don't micromanage the battles. All you do is assign a commander, and then you move the army around, which maybe have like 15,000, 30,000 soldiers, and they sort of handle the fighting with the dice rolling system. You interact with it, but you don't have to micromanage every aspect of it. Yet again, the focus is on the macro aspect, the grand picture, if you will. That is so stupid that they're like, no, you gotta micromanage everything. Every little thing. What are they wearing? What kind of shoes do they put on? Oh, goodness. We need more macro.
And practically every person I've seen talking about this too absolutely hates it. Because, of course, the market is actively changing as well. So there are other people buying up stuff, or there's wars happening, or internal civil conflict, etc. If you're exporting 10 units of steel from Bumblebee Land over there, right? And Bumblebee Land has a civil war. Not an uncommon thing in European Universalis, Victoria. Then suddenly you can't import your 10 units of steel anymore. And then you gotta go, okay, gotta open the trade menu, gotta click that, gotta set a new trade loot. Okay, who's selling steel? There you go. Okay, click that.
Yep.
Import 10 units of steel. When that line breaks, you gotta do this again. And you gotta do this for everything. And if somebody builds a new factory in your country that uses 5 new pieces of steel, guess what?
Yep, you gotta do it again. Oh, that's so annoying.
That doesn't sound very fun. And here's the thing, too. The key point of Victoria, and now we return to the creative assembly trap yet again, don't we? Where I was like, okay, if you're gonna redo warfare, okay, you're gonna make warfare more macro-y so that you can focus more on making a really great economic simulation. All right. If I didn't believe you were lying bitches, I might like that idea. However, now we're looking at this and going, hold on, so you've removed warfare, and there is no economic simulation. In fact, my country, my market, and my private economy can't import everything. I have to do that for them? Why?
Again, like, you should be able to interact with all these mechanics, right? But you should be able to interact with them in a macro way. You can influence them subtly, and they'll sort of, follow the line of what you want.
Yeah, and there's the thing too, right? In a game like Victoria, there are certain restrictions placed upon the player to simulate his system of governance. For example, more authoritarian systems can literally build factories. But when it comes to the importation of raw resources, the state doesn't do that. Like, the United States of America doesn't go to Germany and go, "Hey, can I buy some steel from you?" It's not how this works. And better yet, here's another little funny thing. Since all of this is done manually rather than via an evolving market, it's done by clicking a button and there you go, the trade route established, a lot of problems are occurring with the embargo system as well. Now, they've also talked about the embargo system in a very weird fashion, because if you embargo a resource, you embargo the resource. There is no way to embargo a country currently.
What the fuck? What?
Yes. So if you wanted to do like the America's embargo on oil against Japan, for example, in the Second World War, you would have to embargo all exports of oil.
Who the no? Oh my! Why would you do that? That doesn't even make any sense. Like, the game director in charge of this is an absolute monkey. Did he, mechanically speaking, oh, that hurts my head. So you can just...
It's very dumb. And again, here's the thing, all right? Could that change? I'll give you something to just scroll through and look at stupid things.
That definitely should change. But that also boils down to them having to be transparent. Because they could be like... It could be like something, for example, like, oh, hey, we're working on this mechanic. We haven't yet implemented all its functions. We're just testing it right now. Like, the end goal is that it will work this way. Okay, let's get to this. Trade tariffs, trade center. Okay, what's this? This looks kind of the same as what we were just looking at.
Yeah, I've just given you, like, their list of their stuff so you can, like, scroll through a bit, and then I can refer to things and point you to it if I need to.
I gotcha. Okay. So this is the Trade Center building in New York.
Yes, because there are the idea of the embargo, right? Because normally you wouldn't put an embargo on a resource. Obviously, we would put an embargo on a specific country.
Yes.
Now, they claim that, okay, the reason why we're going to do it this way is because you can never fully embargo something, which is bullshit. You absolutely can fully embargo certain things to an extreme extent. And you certainly don't need to embargo the entire export. Like, what they were talking about too, if you export something and then another country buys it and then sell it to the third party, then you're totally no longer embargoing that nation. No, that's not how this works. If Germany bought oil in the Second World War scenario, right, from America, and then sold it to Japan, that would still be an embargo by America. Because America is still embargoing Japan. Now, if you wanted to be fancy about it, you could also extend that and go like, oh, this person is buying and selling to Japan. Would you like to exert political pressure to stop them from doing this? Stuff like that.
Yeah, and the political pressure should prompt an option where there's a negative penalty for the nation embargoing them, but they can still persist anyways if they wish to endure that penalty, whatever it be.
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's a game design decision there. There's actually, like, player choice. There's consequences and rewards, and there's strategic reasons as to why you might want to continue pressuring them. Say you want to put pressure on Japan to stunt their growth because you want to expand American interest and influence in the Asian region, and you want to ensure that Japan is, prevented. So you're, embargoing them from getting steel because you need to keep them from producing too many ships.
Mm-hmm. Now, they also said that there is still a way for you to wage economic warfare. So, Kyle, that's a nice little mental exercise here. If you can't embargo nations, what do you think is the way of economic warfare?
If you can't have sanctions or embargoes, the what? What? But that is what economic warfare is. Embargoing nations and ceasing them to get trade.
Actually, you see, economic warfare in Victoria is the exact opposite. You buy up all of their resources to stop them from using them.
So you give them a shitload of money.
Yes, but they can't stop you from buying their resources unless they embargo them totally.
What? That doesn't make any sense. Like, can't you set a cap to how many resources? You're the sitting government of the nation. You'd be like, all right, we're only going to sell X amount of steel production, and we're going to keep and retain that rest of that steel production for ourselves. This is what we call the use of sliders, which, by the way, Paradox hates sliders for some reason now. Sliders, you could adjust that level. Be like, okay, we'll sell 25% of our steel, or we'll open up, for 50% sales of all steel production, stuff like that. So you adjust the slider, bam, boom, perfect. 50% steel. Then you don't want to sell to America. You right click on America, embargo, problem solved. They will not be buying your steel. Look at that.
And again, there's been tons of examples of this, and one that I found particularly funny was one person was playing a South Asian nation, right? And he had an industry that used 200 units of silk. He was producing 90, and he was already importing 90. And that was all he could import from the immediate area. So he needed a little bit more, and he found another nation that he could invade, and he did so, and he gained 20 more units of silk. And he's like, yay, okay, finally, I'm running at 210. I've got a little bit more than I need. This is perfect. Then the AI went, hold on, you have a surplus of silk. That means I can import 200 units of silk from you. And suddenly his economy was running on 10 silk, because you can't deny other nations from importing your stuff.
They've taken away the ability for you to actually wage war, not only in the game, but also waging trade wars, which is what Victoria's about.
And can you imagine how easy this mechanic would be to grief in a multiplayer game? It's like, a nice steel industry you have there, yoink. And apparently, you can do this whilst at war with an enemy nation.
What?
You can literally import their guns out of their stockpiles.
Why? Oh my God, that's going to be World War I. How did the Central Powers beat the Entente? Well, you see, they just asked, hey, France, can I have all your guns? Like, okay. Okay. Why would you do that? That's very... Not only can you not control the wars, but you can just take all the guns. Also, I did hear that how the warfare works is the AI doesn't. It's like, you can't control the warfare at all, which is like a terrible decision, because Paradox games, the wars are these big climactic things that decide the fate of nations and will decide how you play the preceding years. But don't worry about it. The AI will just not deploy your troops. Ha ha ha.
Now, I'll play the devil's advocate here and say maybe all of this will change. Maybe they will change these mechanics completely, despite having already announced them in their dev diary. It isn't impossible that they can go like, yeah, this is a really dumb system. And
Yeah.
the thing is, too, they're not saying that they're going to change it. In none of the developer posts are they saying they're going to change it. The one that comes closest is the Q&A manager, who has a post further down, which says that the current iteration of the market isn't ideal, but it's totally better than the previous version, and you're just going to have to trust him on that. And I'm like, I'm sorry, Paradox, you've done nothing to deserve my trust.
Yeah, you
recently,
kind of burned bridges. You've ruined a lot of your games. You have a horrendous DLC policy. And the only redeeming thing about your DLC policy, if one of your friends buys the expansions, everyone else can play with it. That's it. That's the only redeeming thing. Oh god, don't bring that piece of shit up here.
I am going to bring that piece of shit up because let me justify this stance as well. Because I'm like, oh, poor Paradox. They've done nothing wrong, right? This is the latest DLC for Europa Universalis 4. Leviathan. Look at those reviews. Those reviews are because this expansion, if you buy it, is basically a goddamn virus that starts crashing your game and rendered the game literally unplayable for months.
Yep. And they charged you for it, too.
Yes. And they never did they tell anyone, like, hey, by the way, there's a serious bug issue. No. They don't give you that information, do they?
Yep. Yeah.
I'm very, very dubious when Paradox tells me to just trust them. I am not sure they deserve that trust. And okay, let's move on to the warfare system, right? Because let us assume that since all of these are mechanics within wider system, right? This is mechanics within the trade system that we're talking about here. Maybe these individual mechanics will change. Maybe they simply haven't implemented the market mechanic yet. And, that's perhaps a reasonable speculation. After all, there is no release date yet, so maybe they simply haven't done that part of the game yet. Or maybe they're planning to sell it to you at a later date, but hey, details. It's not like Paradox has ever sold whole mechanics before, right?
They've been doing that since Crusader Kings 2. I think even further back.
But again, absolute most positive position here, okay? They're going to change the mechanics within the system. All right, cool. What about warfare? None of the Paradox developers are even mentioning warfare. Why? Because everyone dislikes the system. And it is exactly as boring as it looks in the screenshots. You establish a front line. The AI hopefully will react in the future. They don't right now. And then you just watch bars slowly moving up and down. And that is all you do.
Versus before, there was actually some maneuvering. You had to actually go into different regions. Your generals would have different bonuses, and if you lured an enemy or in a bad piece of territory where they got your guys that had a better advantage, you could then destroy them.
Mm-hmm. That is, and they've also been talking about how you can get new weapons and stuff to them. Here's the interesting thing, though. If the trade system works like it seems to work already, what is to prevent the enemy from buying up your weaponry? In fact, that was what people did in the test. They literally bought enemy weapons. They would buy up artillery and stuff, which is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is absurd. And even if like, let's say they address all those economic bugs, or what we'll call them as loopholes, because they are loopholes in the gameplay. Well, those particular things have just not have proper implementation, I would assume. Even giving them the benefit of the doubt with that. What you still have is a very bad game, in which you still can't do anything because they've already said that you can't embargo nations because that's not how they want the game to work, because they don't think nations work that way, or for some stupid idea of how the gameplay loop should work. Their vision of what they want Victoria 3 to be does not coincide with what the fandom actually wants. In the same vein that Dawn of War 3's vision, or Relic's vision of Dawn of War 3, didn't coincide with what the fans wanted. This is very much a similar situation. The developers need to take a step back, put their ego back in their pocket, and readdress the situation. Talk to the fans, open up the beta build. Tell you what, that's going to be a far better move to earn people's trust back if you do a public test.
The issue is, I very much so suspect that these mechanics are actually working as intended. That's my suspicion. That all of this is actually how Paradox intended for it to be, but now that they see the backlash, they have to go,
I mean, I'd rather them see it now and fix it before Imperator Rome. Honestly, Paradox really should learn from Imperator Rome's failing. They haven't learned a damn thing. They need to open up their testing, because it's clear to me that the directors in charge, the designers in charge, have lost sight, have lost vision, and do not have any connection with the core audience anymore at all.
That is one of the potential problems, yeah. It is very difficult to, because they're talking about this as well. There's one mention from the developer saying, quote, what was it here? Yes. Not planning to change, we are not planning to change anything about it. It just means we haven't done and talked about these changes yet, in reference to the dev diaries, because people brought that up. These are mechanics you have announced in the dev diaries. These are mechanics we can see in the current build of the game. Why are you telling us we can't criticize this? And their answer is basically that it's not that they aren't. They're totally planning to change it. They just haven't talked about it. Or, well, they don't even say that. They're just saying that it doesn't mean that they can't potentially talk about changing anything about it.
Well, it looks like they should talk about changing it, because if this thing launches the way they're intending to, I almost guarantee you that the fandom will reject this title, and this will be another Imperator Rome all over again.
They've also, here's another thing too. There is another assumption going around that maybe, we can't really assume anything because this might be a really, really, really old build or something. Okay, in which case Paradox would have said so. Obviously. By this point, they would have gone, this is an out-of-date build, don't worry about it. No, instead they're saying that they are looking forward to streaming the game in the near future. That's one of the developers saying that. Okay, so you were looking forward to streaming the game in its current state, and you're still saying that you might be thinking about changing mechanics in the future.
That's not good enough. No.
The issue is, can we trust what they're saying at that point? Why should we give a shit about your dev diaries? If you're going to change everything. If this will come out later on. Oh, no, we were totally going to change that. Were you? Are you? Seriously? This deep into development, you're going to rework the entire trade system. When you're getting ready to stream the game at PR events, you're going to rework the entire trade system, are you? I mean, it's not impossible, but here, look at Imperator Rome, right? Look at how long it took them to begin reworking major mechanics in Imperator Rome. We're talking 6 months to a year plus for them to begin making substantial changes.
Yep, because they have to. The thing is, when you change something about a game, especially in the issues of like a game like Imperator Rome, those systems that they had already designed were tethered not to just one mechanic, not to two, not to three, but to the entire gameplay's core loop. When you change this system, several hundred systems connected to it, design-wise, have to be changed, programmatically have to be changed, art assets have to be thrown in the dumpster. This is huge. Let's make no mistake. The amount of changes here that would need to be made to get this to actually work properly would definitely delay the game's development time. But Like, is the developer going to do that? Because delaying the development time means they can't ship the title, means they can't get the sales. Probably not, unless there's a huge outcry, which is why it's important to be loud. Because the only way you get changes, like people did with that Sonic movie, with getting the changes for that, is if you are loud.
Yep. That's the thing. Like, could it happen? Yeah, maybe. I just do not see it as particularly likely. Like, they claim to have already been secretly developing Victoria for, what was it, 3 or 4 years? This mechanic has survived this long, and it's the best you've come up with? Really? An embargo on resources instead of nations? That's your best current idea?
Yeah, they have too many yes men in house, and that might echo back to the Imperator Rome QA team being fired for they're allegedly saying that the game needed a lot of reworking.
Yes, there's a lot of controversy around the firing of the QA team. Paradox claims that they weren't doing their job correct, and they had to fire them because they just weren't an asset anymore. The QA team themselves, those two have talked out about it. They claimed that they told Paradox again and again that Imperator Rome was not fun. It was not finished. It was not interesting. It would not be a success, and they just got ignored. The truth in that matter, I have no idea. It's literally he said, they said.
Yep. And so it's really going to boil down to this. Like, if we see this develop the same way, then it's going to give some gravity to what was said by those people as well. Because if we see a repeat incident, the only way Paradox can avoid that is if they actually man up, go back, tear it up, and re-fucking do it. They're not going to, but that's the only way that this can be resolved. Because if this launches the way they think they want it, like, this game will not succeed. It will not succeed because Victoria's audience and core fandom will reject this because they don't like these kinds of mechanics. I've spoke to people who like Victoria 2, people who played it. They cherish it as one of the best Paradox games on the market, and there's actually a certain validity to that statement. So them doing this, they're gonna burn bridges, and it's just gonna be a massive mess. Like, this is a train wreck in the making.
Mm-hmm.
It happened before. The fans rejected Imperator Rome. The fans rejected Leviathan. Every single time we've seen it happen again and again and again. They have to learn. Question is, will they?
We'll see. I mean, it'll be very interesting in Victoria 3 when it finally does release, right? Because we look at it and we can see what mechanics did they change? What mechanics did they not change? Because right now, I would assume that any major changes from the state we have right now will be as a direct consequence of the outrage of these leaks. I just do not buy that a mechanic like this makes it through 3 years of development and then is suddenly changed at the last moment. Simultaneously, if the game releases with all of these mechanics still being terrible, still being broken, people still yelling at them for it, I mean, that will, if anything, be the final proof that Paradox does not give two shits about what people want. They are worried about what they wish to create.
Yup. Oh, man. This thing's gonna be a mess.
We will see. We will see. But enough about the Swedes that are currently enjoying their Easter of peace and love. Ah, Sweden. Maybe that's why Paradox is so aggressive right now. There's fires outside of their office. I can understand if that makes them a little bit on edge.
They're angry.
But have a look at that thing right there, Kyle, and set it to 5 days, would you?
5 days. Beep. It's still loading. Beep. Probably should stop clicking. I think I might break it. Is there supposed to be a graph or something?
Yes.
Should I put that full screen maybe? Beep.
Kyle has managed to ruin the graph. It is difficult to understand how he manages this, but he has.
No, take a screenshot of yours. That might be the only way. Work, damn you, work. Oh, it's loading. Have I
ever told you how disappointed in you I am?
This chart is not available. Okay, alright.
That is not it either. All right. Well, I was hoping that Kyle would be not technologically inept.
Hold on.
That was
you didn't know how to do a screenshot. Now, open up. Type in your Windows tab. Type in Snippy. Type in Snip. It'll open up the snipping and clipping tool. Snippy Clippy. Then you snippy clippy the picture and then save it to your desktop and then send it to me.
No, that's fine. I'll use my new Yandex browser instead. I've had to start using Yandex now because every other thing is just an absolute cuck of a program. So now I'm using a Russian web searcher. Oh, far the mighty have indeed fallen. But it does come with a screenshot tool, so it's not all bad, supposedly. But yes, this is the current stock of the Disney Corporation. There
we go.
There's a bit of a dip there, just a little bit of a dip, just a bit of a dip, pinch downward, just a pinch downward curve, as you can see. And this is because Florida Man has decided to revoke all of Disney's special privileges in Florida, which has up until this point meant that the company basically didn't have to pay taxes for a lot of the things that you normally would have to. In fact, they could pay taxes to themselves for example, road maintenance and sewage and electricity and emergency services. Disney could pay Disney to provide Disney with a fire service.
I like the fact that the Disney line go down.
Yes.
Can it go
Disney line
further?
Go far down.
Further down. How low can you go? You know, it's like limbo. Let's see how low we can get that to go. Lower.
Hopefully it can go very, very, very low indeed.
I want to see it go under the bar.
Under the sea, that's where I'll see.
Yes.
And they'll be.
They'll be under the sea.
And of course, this has caused all kinds of interesting things as the modern day Marxist movement leaps up in vicious defense of the mega corporations.
Not the mega corporation.
God, I love this timeline. And that picture too. That picture is fantastic. You've got Mickey Mouse there in the foreground with a Ron DeSantis sign, and in the background, Walt Disney Pedo World.
Oh my god, they're putting up the little pedo. Look at the little people. Pedo World. That's true. These sick fucks are, well, hold on. They haven't been convicted yet, so innocent until proven guilty. But once they are.
Yes, it was just that, what was it, 8 or 10 or 12, I think, Disney employees were rounded up in a recent human trafficking bust, which is, righty-o then.
If they're convicted, if they are guilty, there should be further investigations, I think.
It's a very, very interesting twist for Disney, no doubt. But this, of course, comes over a long-standing row now between DeSantis and the Disney Corporation. As you can see here, The Guardian writes that Biden says Republicans' Disney vote shows far right has taken over the party. Okay. So let me just summarize here real quick so I can understand the deep thinking of that corpse you elected president through a fair and open, transparent election. Of course, YouTube, I'm not saying otherwise.
We would
obviously.
Never. We would never. Yes, of course.
I would never. Just like this is a free platform, I would never question the integrity of the US elections, obviously.
Very true, yes.
But the far right. Okay, so the far right is in opposition to mega corporations trying to influence the political decision-making process of a state. All right, it's a It's an interesting position for the far right to be taking, but very well. What else is the far right in opposition to? Well, they are in opposition to having children be indoctrinated in schools.
That's, you know, I don't know, but this might be a far right pipeline. I don't know what we're doing, Arch. Oh, be careful.
Yeah, no, I'm.
Apparently, the far right doesn't like pedophiles
argument.
either. Oh no, the pipeline, man, it's real.
I'm definitely seeing the argument here for a guardian to the far right pipeline. If somebody will lead this and go, hold on, the far right is against sexualizing children? Well, shit, Sig Heil, brother.
Sig Heil, brother. No, that's the far left, Arch. Wrong one. Those are socialists.
That's true. Sorry.
You don't want to be a socialist, do you?
No, anything but that.
Fair enough.
Because all of this is, of course, over the Florida bill, the anti-groomer bill, as the far right calls it, and the don't say gay bill, as the left calls it. Now, we've talked about this before, but just for those who are perhaps not in the know of this, the bill basically says that teachers do not get to, well, teach children about sexuality that is not accepted. So they'll still have the basic sex education when they're like 16, 17, 18 or something like that, which is, you know, that cringe-ass lesson when a teacher walks into the classroom and puts a condom on a banana and goes, there you go. See? What? Rubber.
It's safe for making babies. Wow. And they're like, if you put the pee-pee and the other thing together, it makes babies. Like, that's all you learn. It's a basic biology lesson. They don't force sexuality on you. You just learn that, hey, sex is a thing, and if people do stuff together, more people come out sometimes.
Never mind that one. It's got a stupid ad block.
Cringe.
But essentially, it is to say that you can't teach them critical race theory, intersectionality, you know, the recent, all of that nonsense, all of it. No, you simply don't get to teach children about sexuality. Full stop. You don't get to teach them about conservative sexuality either. It's just don't talk about sex to children. Seems like a pretty obvious position to take, frankly, in my opinion, but here we are.
Fucking hope so.
And here's the thing as well. This isn't a rare thing. This isn't something that is just targeted against this. You're not supposed to indoctrinate children into anything. It is not legal to teach like a religious doctrine at school either.
Separation of church and state. Keep that shit in its own thing. Like, that's, oh god. But that's the issue, though. Like, politics are seeping in. I remember being in high school, and I remember having a teacher who's, I'm totally okay with doxing when one day my public face is known. But basically where they were telling kids that if they didn't think Obama was cool, they were lame, and basically going on sort of like political tirades about how much he hated George Bush. And I don't like George Bush either, but it's not his place to tell students that. It's not your job to dictate to them how to think, how to feel. It's your job to teach. Shut the fuck up, sit down.
It's very simple. Like, don't use schools as recruiting grounds in any way.
Yes.
Full stop.
Period.
It shouldn't be controversial.
Let them form their, like, it's on the individual to find their own way.
Yes. And this has also caused a great deal of outrage, as now, of course, the modern day, the progressivist movement is like, hold on, we can't indoctrinate children? What are we supposed to do? I don't know. Something else, I guess. And what is really interesting is how they're viewing this. So this is a very interesting one. Governor Ron DeSantis following in Richard Nixon's footstep, using the state to crush his enemies. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what? For once, I am all for it. This is the way that the progressivists have carried out politics now for years and years and years, legislating change, forcing it via the power of the state. And finally now, after 10 years, one Republican has come up and says, oh, okay, very well. This is a political corporation. I am going to use the power of the state to crush it in any way I can. Fair. Honestly, like, fair. Turnabout is fair play.
Yeah. This is the state of the world. See, hopefully this all one day be history, and we'll look back, or maybe our ancestors, or not our ancestors, sorry, they're probably dead and turning in their graves, but, maybe our descendants will look back and go like, yeah, things were retarded back then, but at least the world didn't end. God, what an embarrassing era to live in, you know?
Oh, absolutely. And the thing is, too, again, right? Is this ideal? No. By no extent of the imagination is this ideal whatsoever. Obviously not. You don't want this to be the way things work. You don't want political parties to try and crush one another by any means necessary. Obviously. It shouldn't even need to be said, but back in the day when we had the idea of, like, for example, World War II, when the Japanese decided to have a visit to Hawaii, both Republicans and Democrats unified behind a then very controversial president and said, okay, we are American first. Simple as. We are Americans. We are going to be fighting an American war. We are on the same side. We are putting our republicanism or our democratism aside for now. Because it was the idea of the loyal opposition, as I think the Britbongs call it. This doesn't exist anymore now. There is no charity on either side anymore. It is pure partisan hackery. And this is coming from both sides now, and this is the only way to fight it. If one side is unilaterally attacking you in any way, shape, and form, to the point where they have private corporations trying to do this, trying to interfere in the electoral process, and trying to tell you what you can and cannot teach your children, yeah, you're gonna have to act rather decisively to stop it.
Yep. Oh, goodness.
And of course, this has also now started a general media campaign against Florida man. This one here, for example, Newsweek. Ron DeSantis' Florida congressional map is one of the most biased in the US, you see. Because America has this funny little thing, gerrymandering, where you look at the map and go, my likely voters live here, here, and here. How about I gather all of my likely voters into one enormous block, giving myself as many votes as humanly possible, and all of my opponents in tiny little blocks getting no votes.
Incredibly big, no kidding. But yes, gerrymandering is a problem.
Yeah, it is a genuine issue. Like, it is absolutely a political issue in the US. But now, the Democrats are, oh my God, how terrible! How terrible! This will give 5 more Republican seats, while several Democrat seats will disappear. How can this be allowed to happen? This must be stopped. Let me just. There's a wonderful little website that shows all of the congressional districts of the various representatives. Right. This is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez's in New York district. Tell me, Kyle, does that look natural?
Hold on. It's loading. Spinny wheel, come on. Oh. If I was to say that was a province in, like, the Holy Roman Empire, sure. Because the Holy Roman Empire looked like that. It was a big, giant tumor.
Yep. Like, it is, you can see that makes no sense. Like, it is 2 segments of the city divided by bridges.
Bridges, waterways, and other things. Like, there's a, that looks dumb.
Yes. Because gerrymandering, surprisingly enough, is not a problem unique to the Republicans, as it turns out. This is simply just how politics is done in the US. Yet suddenly now it's a big problem, you see. Is it now? Maybe how about Democrats? You stop doing it first, and then the rest will follow.
I don't think that will happen, sadly.
No, of course not. It's absolute bullshit, obviously. There's even crazier variants as well, I believe. Like there are some where districts are literally divided. Like there's just random pieces cut out of the map here and there too.
To divide them. Yep, I've seen that. It's hideous to look at.
Yep. So this is not a genuine critique. This is simply yet another attack on poor little DeSantis, which is. Well, he's not particularly happy with the wokest virus, as Elon Musk so beautifully put it. Here we have another one too. Now this one is quite a bit older, but I mean, look at that pearl of a district.
That's some what we call fine border gore. Whoa! As it goes around.
That is some beautiful border gore right there. That's just delicious.
And looks like a silly dinosaur inside. Almost.
Yeah, kind of. Like you can see his little front legs there and his head going, I'm a district.
I'm a district dinosaur. Oh my god. That's terrible.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, where was I before I found this abomination? I have almost forgotten. Ah, yes. Ron DeSantis. He is currently the leading Republican when it comes to taking, let's use the opposition's terms, active measures against the opposition here. And I hope it'll continue. Like, I hope this becomes a trend, because this was one of the big failings of the Grand Trumphalophagus. He spoke a big game, but he was far too easily placated. Like, he was trying to make deals, basically. He was trying to negotiate with the opposition. Whereas Ron, he doesn't bloviate. He doesn't shout and yell about what he's going to do. He simply just sits down, and then he slowly strangles Disney and breaks its neck under the table. Nice and simple.
And just, throws it into the Caribbean. Not my problem anymore. No.
Like, oh, you literally can't make the park function anymore with these restrictions, can you? Well, that's damnably unfortunate, I guess.
You should have considered that when you started doing illegal things. Bit of a shame, really.
Truly, it's awful. Because now there are some problems with this as well. All right, it isn't just a purely good thing, because the district was a good idea, at the very least back in the day. I mean, the Disney World is an absolutely hilariously enormous theme park, right?
Mm.
And it's earning Florida a lot of money. And losing access to that theme park or making it less effective is going to cost Florida a lot of cash, but price willing to be paid, I think, for most people, honestly.
Sometimes, you got to put aside money to do the right thing.
Yep, absolutely. And this is also now officially, this is canon now. This is in the official timeline, because it has passed the House and the Senate, and now the only thing that is left is for Ron to actually sign it into law. So this appears to be happening. And my God, did it happen quickly. Like, I talked about this just a few days ago, when I was like, okay, well, it still needs to pass the House. And maybe this is simply just a threat. There's a loaded gun pointed at Disney. It goes, hold on, Disney. If you don't behave now, we'll sign this shit. But if Disney just backs down, mules apologetically for a period of time, then it'll be lost in the endless paperwork of bureaucracy. Nah, it sailed right through.
I bet that turned some heads in Disney.
Oh yeah. Again, that's why you can see their stock prices suddenly plummeting.
Good. Fuck them.
Good. Absolutely good. Fuck them very much. They are bad people.
Yeah, I don't care. Screw Disney. They've ruined more things than they've made good now. Like, the people that made Disney great are gone. They're not there anymore. The people there now are parasites. Get rid of them.
And there's also, of course, the elephant in the room, which is Disney's ever-mounting debt. Disney might seem monolithic because, I mean, they've literally, up until now at least, they've had their own personal kingdom. There's very few companies that can say, like, yes, we own basically a state. We have a police force.
They had their own police force. They had their own, basically, self-governance to a degree. That has been finally revoked. That tumor inside of our nation has been removed. Cut out, if you will. Beautifully.
Mm-hmm. But Disney is not all, it's not all powerful. Like, it hasn't been doing particularly well economically for a very long time now. And Disney's biggest bangers, their biggest sellers, their greatest successes, almost none of them are recent. It's almost all just older IPs and stuff being remade. For example, like, what was the last big Disney success?
I'm gonna just guess because I didn't actually look at the sales. The shitty new Star Wars, maybe?
The Star Wars did earn back its money, but it caused massive damage to their toys portfolio.
Yeah, the toys did not do well, which is actually something that is often understated. Star Wars toys are friggin' amazing. Well, they were. Now, they're garbage, and kids don't care. Kids don't want them. Kids are like, ew, I don't want this crap.
Their biggest recent success was the Incredibles series. Like, the Incredibles 2, I think, was the one that earned the most, and of course, Frozen. Like, these are their successes now. Everything else is old shit, like Toy Story, for example, or The Lion King, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Don't get me wrong, classics to be sure, but they haven't really, those were made ages ago.
Mm-hmm. And even that is not anywhere near enough to actually keep the company running, because Disney has grown absolutely hilariously gargantuan now.
Yeah. Time for them to be cut down to size, I think.
Yep. And pry their little tweeny fingers out of many other businesses. Make them a bit smaller, a bit more manageable. Then we can move on to various other corporations. Hey, maybe it won't even be necessary. Maybe after the shotgun has been rested gently to the nape of Disney's necks and the trigger has been pulled, there will be no need to deal with the other corporations, because they will go, perhaps it is time to simply be company again.
Perhaps we should just do our goddamn job. Oh, that's funny.
That'd be nice.
Would be.
Disney. Right. Let's move on to some super chats then. We'll keep it a bit short today, because we've got Project Zomboid in just now.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful.
Zomboid time.
Keep it nice and charged. Lazy Soda says, hope you enjoyed the Emma fan art. I did see that. It was horrible. Wanted to know your judgment of Steve Parker's main, in those earlier minis, Death Watch books. Adds nice bit of details of Death Watch, like the training, but found the story and style of writing weak. A death to call. That I can agree with. Unfortunately, I don't think I've read these. The Death Watch series. Honestly, I used to read so many 40k books, I have practically stopped in the recent years completely, because I'm just not interested anymore.
Yeah. But I don't really blame you. I don't think anybody can, honestly, considering.
I've really only bought the source books. I still have the Horus Heresy big-ass source books, the enormous one in leather binding, because they're just too cool to pass up. Like, wow, these are massive. Yeah, they were like a kilo a pop. Oh. They're great.
Yeah. Poor Barch.
Fuzzy Bear. They can't even argue that there weren't enough conflicts at the time to justify not having a warfare system on hand. I can name 3 of the most devastating wars in the early modern human history: the American Civil War, the Taiping Rebellion, and World War I. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why it's also really weird that Paradox decided to scale back the warfare system in Victoria 3. Like, if anything, warfare should be a pretty major part of it, because you have one of the largest transformations of warfare in human history, going from basically musketry to, the machine guns of the First World War.
Yep, and early tanks and aeronautics. We had planes as well. Not to mention the naval evolutions that occurred during that period. You went from what's the word? Broadside-y ship, the sort of man of wars, the late man of wars, to getting dreadnoughts and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Warfare changed. And that's the thing.
To the point where we now literally have a term called the dreadnought effect.
Yep, where how it just absolutely transformed the face of naval warfare.
I just discovered the poll option in the YouTube video. I've never seen this before.
Oh, that's been there for a while now, I think.
It might have, but
you can instigate a poll and be like, chat, and the chat will be like, what?
That's useful, though. Kyle, why didn't you tell me about this?
You can have them vote on whether they're gay or not. Like, this is a difficult decision. But yeah, no, that is actually a useful functionality, and I'm glad YouTube added something that's useful for a change. Gotcha. One thing, to be specific. Arch, are you making a test poll? You're playing with it, aren't you? He is. Look at him.
There you go. I have figured out a function of YouTube. Holy shit, I never knew this existed up until now.
Do you like polls? Damn, it's 50-50.
Well, see, that's actually useful. I can use that. I can use that a little bit more. That's not a bad idea.
That can be used for streams. Like, imagine, that's so useful because you can be like, hey, like, what faction should I pick in Total War? And then chat can just simply vote. Now, if you're multi-streaming, that's not going to help, but, details.
Are Democrats pedos, or are they just pretending? Might be a bit too spicy.
Well, just a pinch.
Just a pinch. I've discovered the poll option. I might be using it. Glowy, so you can win a war by buying all their food or their main export, and they can't stop it unless they stop all trade from leaving their country. Rip open trade. Yes, that is basically what will have to happen, as they'll have to embargo the item you're currently trying to steal from them.
Embargo. Oh, I hate being reminded of that.
Tobin Russell. My friend got into war before decay, and like a bad drug habit, dragged me into it as well. My dumbass choice, Plague Marines to start with. Oh god, the painting. Yeah, but on the bright side, the Plague Marines are pretty good, though. They're not bad. They can be rather durable, which is nice. Although a lot of recent weaponry kind of makes a complete and utter mockery of toughness, etc., but details.
They look nice.
You'll have a long-term benefit from it. Yes. Crafty Huragok says, I was always willing to be reasonable until I had to be unreasonable. Sometimes reasonable men have to do unreasonable things. Good job for the guy who did the free info. See, I can absolutely see that line of reasoning too. It's like, if you're sitting there with a Paradox product, and by now they've got a lengthy history of releasing shit that's below par, shall we say, outright game breaking in many cases. And you're looking at it and goes, wow, this is pretty awful. I can certainly see a certain moral argument for accidentally pressing an upload button somewhere.
Yeah, that would suck.
I can see it. Dragbeat, can't stay now that the US has implemented Lend-Lease to Ukraine. Does that change things since Russia can't compare to us? Industry puts a timer on them. Yes, it does. But bearing in mind, too, what is America going to Lend-Lease to Ukraine? Well, it'll be low-impact stuff that can be used immediately. ATGMs, javelins, maybe, rifles, ammunition, stuff like that. That'll absolutely have an effect, but don't expect tanks to be flooding into Ukraine anytime soon, because, the Ukrainians will sit inside of the Abram and go, weird letter. Why is it not looking like squiggles?
Yes, that's true. They don't, it's Cyrillic, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's gonna prove a little difficult, I think.
The US sends them Apache. 5 minutes later, the Apache is flying upside down over the tree line. Screaming can be heard over the radio.
It's okay. Ukrainian man learn quick. Or die quick. One of the two.
Yep. It's like, here in Ukraine, we have too many volunteers. We will thin herd. Oh, see, that would be fantastic. They'll implement the orc way of figuring out who's going to be grenadiers. They hand them a grenade. If they throw the pin, well, he wasn't grenadier material.
Yep, he wasn't cut out to be a grenadier. No problem lost, except for the gear.
Tragic, but understandable. WMC Wolverine says, howdy, you glorious Canadian Swedish man.
Canadian?
I know where you live.
Well, dox him immediately.
I'm finally happy to catch you guys live, reporting in from Illinois as a traveling welder. Keep up great work and stay awesome, guys. Stay awesome, you too. See, there's another thing too. These professions, like welding, carpentry, shit like that, stuff like this is a silly job for silly, uneducated people. These are some of the most well-paid professions in our current day world because nobody thinks that they're well-paid. It's kind of hilarious. Like, for here in Norway, we have an ancient-ass decrepit railway system because we're stupid and we decided to just massively overload our roads, which causes hundreds of deaths every year, by the way, when foreign truckers go to Norway in the middle of winter with summer tires. But hey, you know, we got to kill the invaders somehow.
Oh no. In the ditches, I suppose.
Oh, worse than that. Like, these are driving like massive long-haul transport trucks on icy roads at like 80 kilometers per hour on winding mountain roads.
Ah, so it was like when I was in the mountains in the west, and you'd see the little skid marks that lead off the mountain. You're like, I wonder what happened there.
Yep. It's a lovely little thing for them all. And I'm sure they had a lot of fun until they hit the ground. But, yeah, like stuff like that, welding, and specifically also if you can be like a traveling welder or a specialist welder. In our case, it was train operators, because the trains need operators. And the train doesn't need an operator because it specifically needs one. The train just drives to the station, stops itself. You do nothing 98% of the time. Basically, you're just watching out for that occasional moment when the computer goes, no, today I choose to do this. And then putting the brakes. And this paid, I think, almost $100,000 a year for sitting on your fucking ass and watching a beep boop to make sure the beep boop didn't suddenly go, no, I reject your city speed limits and impose my own.
I mean, that's one way of doing it.
Yep. Oh, it's so stupid. But yeah, jobs like that can often be incredibly well paid. And you should consider it. The Command 248 donates a very generous $50. Thank you a lot, sir. When you're late to the stream, so you set the speed for 1.5 times to catch up. Arch, what do you think of Mariupol still not having fallen with Azov for a group with a bunch of neo-Ns? Oh, neo-black people? Those guys sure don't know how to die, huh? I believe, like, the Russians have been claiming that they've been in control of Mariupol now for a week? It's an interesting situation, to put it rather mildly, but there does still seem to be resistance. At least, like, there are footage coming out of the steel plant that it is apparently being partially occupied as well, so God only knows, really. But hey, Azov has held out in Mariupol for over a month of being fully surrounded by the Russian army. Like, neo-Nazis or not, they sure do know how to fight.
Yeah, that is impressive. I can't imagine the stress of being under siege. That's a modern siege, too.
Yep. Artillery, drones, all kinds of gay shit. The Black Sea Fleet off the coast. Like, very impressive. Sentinel Rex says, Paradox are proud of the game as is and see anyone critiquing it as uncultured heathens who can't see the grand vision. They are too smart for plebs. See, you're joking, and yet the Paradox forums are more heavily policed than your average German death camp circa 1943.
Yep.
Like, you do not get to speak out there.
If you want to look at like yes man things, that's why a lot of people are like, oh, everyone's just a yes man if they go to the forums. If you go to the Creative Assembly forums, it's the same way. Creative Assembly, it's just yes men, and people, head so far up CA's, you know what, and Paradox is the exact same. Their forums are just littered with yes men.
Because over the years, they've winnowed out the people who might give them some shit.
Well, people who give them criticism are breaking the rules, you see. And they must be banned.
They must be. It is the only solution to the problem. Inquisitor Jack says, given every year Disney employees get busted over kid offenses, it is time to mount a Waco-style siege on Disney, Florida. Spicy. They do have an unfortunately long and interesting history when it comes to their interactions with children, yes. Perhaps they should be stopped somehow. Maybe worthwhile investigating the opportunity to... Next step, Disney. See, this is what Ron could do eventually too. It's like, okay, I'm going to make it so you have to go through the state whenever you want a building permit. And then suddenly be, you know what? We've decided to grow a bit more strict with whom we offer building permits to. It's unfortunate, Disney, but these are new times, and sorry, we can't allow you to do that. Oh, you want to renovate this part? Oh, the paperwork, it could take 6 or 7 years for it to be approved.
It's true. Things happen, Bureaucracy, I tell you what, has many problems, but it also has many blessings if you don't want somebody to get something, ever.
Yep, bureaucracy can be a remarkably fine mechanism for withholding things over very, very, very long periods of time. An art the government of every nation has perfected over the years. The Grizzly says, Democrats invents gerrymandering in Michigan, Republicans uses it to their advantage, Democrats shock Pikachu face. Yes, very much so. Like, that is the whole critique about Ron DeSantis doing. It's like, oh my god. Wait, you're doing to us what we've been doing to you? Because it is a wonderful example as well. When the progressives cancels someone, they don't cancel them partially. They don't go, your YouTube channel is suspended for a few months, then you can come back. No. YouTube channel, gone. Social media, gone. Facebook, gone. Twitter, gone. Your ability to get on the internet, gone, practically. And now that boot is finally on the other foot, suddenly a lot of them are going, hold on, this is remarkably unfair. Yes. Yes, it is. I will enjoy watching it burn regardless. It is their just desserts. Glowy says, is there a law where they can make money off a flop, like those game movies from Germany? I mean, there are ways, like you can take the flop and you can expense it, for example. Yeah, shit like that. It's not impossible. But with the size of Disney, with the scope of their operations, etc., I'd say they're probably fairly reliant on starting to make some money back, particularly also as they do have a lot of debt now. Debt that they've taken up specifically to get larger investments for a future payoff. The question is just whether or not Disney will be around to benefit from those payoffs at some point in a distant future. Or whether or not the tax man cometh before then. Because here's the thing. You can take up debt to buy another corporation, but how do you think getting into debt to pay the government works out?
Don't worry about it. Don't think about it. Just let it happen. Government debts, They don't care. They're pretty generous, right? Lenient.
Pretty forgiving, one might even say.
The IRS are compassionate people, guys. You don't understand.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. Very much so. Oh, heavens. Glowy also says, Disney getting what they deserve. They fined all the locals years back for cheaper foreign migrant labor. Disney made hundreds, millions to $1 billion a month with the old deal. With all said and done, I would be willing to pay more in taxes to stop the pedos. Correct. That is the accurate way to look at this. It is a short-term loss in your taxes, sure, but the long-term potential benefits. And besides, nobody's saying that Disney mightn't have to simply just bow the knee and actually pay those taxes themselves. There might be a benefit in all of this in the long run, if one takes the long view, that is.
Look at you, Arch. Thinking ahead. Thinking of the big game.
WMC Wolverine says, forgot my question. Are you guys an AR or AK people? AR.
Yes.
The AK is a silly weapon.
The AK
and
is
it's getting
communist.
really old now.
Yeah. See, why settle for communist garbage when you can settle for Western superiority?
I think we'll go with Germany instead. HKs. HKs for everyone.
I mean, at least it's got that it's feeling, rolls off the tongue. Then the new generals, when they finally do Generals 2 or 3, whatever they call it, will be HKs for everyone.
Oh, God. Do you still believe there'll be another Generals game? Kyle, you are a sad and soppy little gentleman. You know this.
Petroglyph is working on a secret project with a secret publisher. That means we're getting Command & Conquer Remaster. It has to. If it isn't that, then Vincent Lee is punished, yes. I selected somebody in chat to take the fall.
Truly, you are a sad and hopeless creature, and your suffering will be legendary.
It's true.
Rala says, also, Disney pirate franchise is probably dead as Deep stated in court that there's nothing that'll make him work for Disney again. No Sparrow, no Watch. Yeah, he was pretty much the only interesting character in the end there.
What character? I missed that.
Sparrow. John Sparrow from the Pirates franchise.
All right, come here while I snap your neck. Because it's Jack, not John. Jack.
No, his name.
Yeah,
John Sparrow.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff happening with that court case. 'Cause I think it's finally happening, and it looks like a lot of things are coming out. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't normally care about what do you call them, celebrities, but it'll be interesting because people are so quick to condemn him because hashtag believe her, bullshit.
Johnny Depp has been beaten and abused by that woman, and I'm fine with saying it because it looks to be true.
Yeah.
Just by the, audio recordings and shit. Jano Zixix says, could no war mechanism be because all the bad male men cause bad war? No, I think it's just because Paradox just doesn't want to make a warfare system. They haven't wanted to make a warfare system for several years now, so I'd be surprised if they suddenly changed their mind. I mean, look at the combat system in Europa Universalis 2. It's pretty much remained unchanged.
I've never played that game, but I've looked at the pictures.
Yep. I've played that goddamn game.
What about the first one? I don't even want to know what that looked like.
I think I did, but I don't even remember. They're basically identical. Because I was just around beginning to pick up the big games back then.
The big boy games.
The game that I played the most was Hearts of Iron 2. I played the shit out of that game. That was so much fun. And the Darkest Hour mod is just fantastic. And the World War I mod for Hearts of Iron 2 was amazing. Like, really, really, really great. It's too bad that there's no real good World War I mods for Hearts of Iron 4. Like, there's a couple, but they don't really capture that feeling. And besides, one of the guys who's making one of the mods is actually making his own World War I game on Patreon. He's getting he's moving super goddamn slow. It's going to take bloody years, but
yep,
I'd rather wait for that.
I mean, that's the thing. The indie scene it's gonna take time, but honestly, I'd prefer a great game over a mediocre AAA game, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Like, look at Project Zomboid. That game has been in development for I forget for how long, for friggin' ever. And a lot of people were immediately going like, "Oh, this game is gonna be shit," abandon it because like the developer taking forever. And look at how far it's come. Holy crap! And how far it's going still. Honestly, those long haul games like those, I kind of prefer them.
They're kind of cool. Animated Acumen says lots of Polish love. Poland, über alles. Hey, listen, there's still some territory to the east there that you haven't reclaimed. Maybe it's time. Like, Ukraine's like, what?
I met a Pole from Danzig, and it was funny. It was so easy to trigger him because I was like, "Oh, you're German." He's like, "No, I'm Polish." It's like, so you belong to Germany.
Well, all you really need to do is just pronounce Danzig. There you go.
That's true. Just tell them that Poznan, they need to return all that German land they have. They get really upset.
Yeah, like, why are you illegally occupying Russia, huh?
Yeah, your nation should be a speck on the map. No bigger than a city-state,
Absolutely.
Really.
Like, what they need to get back to the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth.
Ooh,
Ukraine is very distracted right now. A quick offensive from the West will catch them completely by surprise.
The Baltics, too, they're not looking. They wouldn't expect it. Lithuania, Latvia, Estonia, they'll be like, "Wait, what?" As they're just slowly conquered.
And what's NATO gonna do is like, NATO member attacking NATO member. Who do we help?
Look at the articles. What does it say?
Shooting at each other.
We didn't plan for this contingency.
A few years later, there squats Poland, Lithuania once more. All according to plan.
We were playing the long game. They took all of Russia this time.
That'd be funny. I would enjoy that. Sweaty Cheese sends a picture of a pear with a mug of wine, blood, one or the other.
Okay.
I'm assuming blood. Animate Acumen says Kibbs, the favorite male VTuber. Male?
Arch, come here.
Question mark.
Can hurt you.
The Grizzly. What's your favorite faction to play in 40k? Mine is Black Legion. Abaddon is a walking blender, and anything near him just dies. I mean, it used to be the Blood Angels, but Space Marines. Yeah, Space Marines. Everyone.
You were a
Space
little spunk Marine. See, I kind of when Arch played that game with me, and then admitted that he cheated against me because I didn't know what I was doing, little bastard, because he brought Rowboat Gilliman. I remember that game.
Oh, that wasn't the cheating part.
Oh, what was the cheating part? I forget.
That was just you doing dumb shit.
Oh, so you're just cheating as usual. But either way,
it was something to do with the Force Organization chant, I think, with bringing Rowboat Girlyman. Rowboat Girlyman is slightly overpowered.
No, so it was Rowboat Girlyman related. Either way, I kind of enjoyed the orcs, even if I did get massacred by Arch every time.
Orcs can be fun. They have dumb weapons. We had an interesting game against Disco and Cozzy where you basically just stole my list, and that worked out well, I guess.
I did. I was looking at how to make a list, and I realized that the only person who knows how to make like armies properly is Arch. I don't really know what I'm doing, so I'll be like, Arch, I just can't think of something. Can I see yours? And then like copy paste. That seemed to work pretty well, actually.
It was a fun little tabletop sim game. Like Cossie distracted and sabotaged Disco at every turn. It was beautiful.
It was truly a glorious game. Because it was the only one I've ever won. Oh.
But favorite faction now, I actually have to say the Space Faggots, the Eldar. Simply because I get to play stupid things with them, like really stupid things, like an army with nothing but rangers, because it's like, this is dumb. Yes.
There's also that cancerous thing you did with the bike and their little spell thing. That was annoying.
Yeah, that can be funny too. Like the Elder have a lot of. I still remember vividly the moment I was playing a game against Sargon in Tabletop Sim, and he was like, "Oh, goddamn, your avatar is really powerful. I'm gonna kill him with my melta weapons because they're great anti-vehicles." And so he goes like, "Pew pew," and I'm like, "Sargaruni, your avatar is immune to melta weaponry."
All around me, if as familiar faces starts playing for Sargon there.
I hear the hesitation in his voice, like, "Really? Yeah, okay." Shows the rules. Oh, that's gay. That was the only AT he brought. Yes, it's very gay. Avatar's bullshit. Oh God, 7th was an interesting addition. Inquisitor Jack says, Gracie at Art, have you checked out Harkos Bales, the VTuber rat girl that represents chaos? She did a song called Play Dice. Skaven waifu? Question mark. I have not. But if they're not a part of these entourage, how can we possibly vet them properly?
Sargon says, look, it had been a long time since I'd played. Oh, look, V's here, too. Oh, hey, the whole gang.
Everyone. Yeah.
You haven't wrenched V. To be fair, can you really trust V? No,
Oh.
Oh, you haven't wrenched Sargon either. I click on him.
Ish.
Oh, I can't do it.
Why are you trying to kick Sargon? It's cruel.
I'm trying to give him a wrench, but I can't. I forgot this isn't, I don't have those privileges. I'm just a regular wrench.
It was a horrible thing. Me and Sargon have cheated one another in 40k multiple times. It's all good fun, though.
Friendly cheating. Nothing better.
Yes. The occasional misreading of rules here and there. And we'd look back upon later and go,
Maybe we fucked that up. I mean, to be fair, that happens in any tabletop game. Pen and paper. You just learn to roll with it.
Yep. Kyle did this to me, too. He cheated with his army list. He was that was in Saga. He was like, hey, I can do this. No, you can't. Yeah, I can. No, you can't.
Yeah, but you cheated several times as well, so it balances out.
It balances out.
Accidental cheating, the best kind.
Indeed. Crazy Templar says, hey, Arch, why do you think the US Army is making a mistake by reintroducing division? Because we have demonstrated in Ukraine that the brigade works really goddamn good. I mean, the Russian army was attacking with their divisions, and they got their asses kicked. Maybe that's just because they're Russians, but like the divisions are very large-scale formations. They're meant for large-scale set-piece battles, which is the kind of shit that the US really likes. So it might work well with their doctrine, and they will nevertheless divide up into brigade combat teams once they get in country. So it might not be that big of a problem anyway. But it feels like the US is beginning to ramp up and prepare itself for the war against China, which is almost inevitable at this point. And I don't think a land war in China is America's best choice, honestly. We'll see.
I mean, we have superior air power. All we need to do is bomb them. We don't need to set a single foot over there.
Well, we'll see how long the superior air power lasts. That's the issue.
Remember the Boxer Rebellion, right? You remember that whole thing? Honestly,
it was funny.
If you just, with air power in mind, all you need to do is, again, bomb key strategic targets, and China won't be able to mobilize or move their dudes in any right direction. They have a big army, but what good is their army if they can't move it or mobilize it?
Mm-hmm. Look Up says, hey Arch, did you saw video where Russian make fun of instructions in Polish on RPG 76, thinking it's American writing instructions in Ukrainian using Latin letters? No, that does sound retarded. Poor Russians. It still doesn't beat that fantastic video from the Middle East, though, with like the Taliban's going like, look, the infidels' aircraft is falling apart. Praise Allah. Like, that's a bomb, you idiot. Run. Oh, that was beautiful.
These things happened.
Icthulu. Disney forgets eminent domain is a thing. Oh, see, that's an entirely... That's an entire different kettle of fish as well. If Florida suddenly goes like, you know what? Maybe all of your property are actually open to the public. Maybe Mickey Mouse is available for everyone now.
That would be funny.
That'd be funny.
Oh, that'd be very funny. I don't think that's gonna happen, but damn, would that that would be great.
Ron has been quite the madman so far.
Ah, finally. Things that should be, quote-unquote, open source or publicly available should be, like Mickey Mouse or, you know, classic fairy tales, which Disney has found a way to copyright.
Yep. Glowy says, Biden and Democrats have used the power of the state to punish people. They are hypocrites, but they don't care. They will happily enforce a double standard. As my good friend V has said on multiple occasions, there is only ever one standard, the double standard. V says some good things on occasion, what can I say? Sweaty Cheese, tax theft, question mark, exclamation mark. I think so, also just finished Kriegbook. I'll tell you what, taxation does feel an awful lot like theft every tax season.
It does. And
it is that uniquely unpleasant experience of feeling a large amorphous entity reach down into your wallet and just grab shit.
Yeah, they take stuff out, and that's part of the second thing about being like self-employed and stuff. That happened to me this year, where it was like doing taxes, and now that, you know, taking off on YouTube for the first time, I'm making like a lot of money, and I was like, oh my goodness, look at that red number go up, you know, minus 6,000, minus 7,000. You're like, ugh! And then you're able to get to the section where you're like, okay, what can you write off? And thankfully, you can write off video game expenses, you can write off art, and then you can bring that number down to a more manageable level. But that can get real nasty.
Oh, yeah. My heart sinks a little bit every time I get a nice little invoice from the state going, you're supposed to pay this many thousands. Can I not?
Those kroners don't belong to you, brother. They belong to the crown. Right? Is that your government? Is a monarchy still? Yes?
We are a monarchy.
Yeah.
That's good.
The crown.
We need it to be.
The king. He needs his kroners for his fish.
Jack the Outcast says, hey Larch and Kibbs, listen to you guys whilst delivering rebar all over southwest Idaho. Keep up the good work and breed Kibbs and screw Disney. Breed Kibbs with Disney. Create abomination.
Yeah, that sounds quite horrific. Hard pass.
The Commander 248 says, I prefer the Jets CS Burn platform as the AR platform is too old. The Vietnam era. Who knew the Chechen weaponry was cool? I'm slightly ambidextrous, so that's a bonus of the platform. Maybe we should just cancel all American weaponry.
Oh my god. And only use Spanish weapons, yes.
I don't know if the Spanish has weapons.
True. I don't even know if Spain even exists anymore. I haven't checked on it lately.
I hope not.
It's just gone. The Iberian Peninsula, gone.
It's just Portugal now.
Hey, you know. That's a little bit ugly, though. That should be gone, too.
Popatsot says, the throbbing god rod grows stronger, cry harder Twitter. In all seriousness, though, as someone whose last RTS was Warcraft 3, what will be a good one to wean me back in? Thank you kindly, gentlemen.
Oh, that's... His last one was Warcraft 3. Well, actually, he missed a lot of fantastic RTSs in that case. If that's true. Because there was a golden age of RTSs. We had Sins of Soul Empire, we had more Command & Conquers, we got... what was it? It's a great game. Supreme Commander. Thank you. Thank you, Memory, for working.
You meant a little bit harsh to begin again. If anything, I'd just say you should look into picking up some of the more modern RTS titles. The Company of Heroes, the Dawn of Wars. There's only 2 Dawn of War games. Bear that in mind.
Dark Crusade is a fantastic expansion to check out for Dawn of War. Even if you're kind of loosely want to try it, and you don't want to try Dawn of War 1, because Dark Crusade's awesome. I like that campaign map with the boss battles when you get to the capitals of their, the enemies', territories. That's cool.
A very neat campaign.
World in Conflict? Yeah, that's right, chat. Just shower him with ideas. There's so many. If Warcraft 3 was his last RTS, then at least he's got a backlog of good ones.
That he does. Or something eminently nice and casual, like Ratropolis. That one's really fun, and it's basically a strategy game, kind of. In a way. A little bit.
World in Conflict. Bannon, give me a sit rep. It should be called World in Bannon. Bannon. That's another great one. GOG is a great place to check out for other old RTSs that are relatively workable, by the way. So definitely give Good Old Games a look, because its RTS section should have a plethora of titles for you.
Good old games. Glowy says Florida had a gerrymandered district that looked like a snake went from north to near Jacksonville all the way down to Orange County or Disneyland. Yeah, gerrymandering really is one of those things that just needs to stop in the US. Much like, lobbying, but oh well. It's just one of those peculiarities of the weird colonials, I guess. Really, America should just be more Norway, because we found it first.
No, I think Norway should be Swedish. No, Danish.
No. Gola82 says, why ArchCast today? Is there Skaven RP this weekend? Yes, I don't think anyone's sick or diseased this weekend, so we will be doing the Skaven RP.
Mm-hmm. More adventures and demonses.
Mad World says, hey there, hi there, ho there. The AR is the best answer, but there are good American-made AKs now. The AK is becoming capitalist. An American AK. How far your people have fallen, Kyle.
It's becoming maybe based. No, you be quiet. We're fixing things.
I know about that. Half and half. The ArchCast on a Friday. I can actually watch this at work. Nice. Have some cash. Thank you very much. See, I'll soon, quote unquote, soon, I'll receive internet. My God. Maybe, possibly, I'll receive internet. Then I can stream other things. That'll be hilarious. I can stream stupid things like Command Modern Operations, and I can have people vote on the stupid things I'm going to do. Like, shall we fight with nothing but sidewinders today? Like, yes. Paid.
Okay. See, that could be fun. Hurry up and get your internet sorted so you can do that. Chop chop.
A campaign with sidewinders only. Like, come on, little pilots, learn to dodge.
Oh, no.
That would be mildly amusing, if also absolutely awful and suicidal.
Then you can do a replay through of Sacrifice and do votes for Ungods. So yeah, that could be cool.
In that case, it'd have to be like, clear the mission with only this type of unit, or something retarded.
Only a level 1 creature in Arch. A level 1 melee creature? Womp womp.
See, that could have worked too, depending on the nation.
That'd be horrific. Oh god, that'd be horrific. If the enemy spams flyers, it's just gonna be annoying because you have to manually kill them with your own spells.
You will. Inquisitor Jack says, took my World War II vintage M1 carbine to 100-yard iron sight match yesterday. Krag Jurgensen rifle, history video when? Norwegian design and first smokeless and magazine-fed general service rifle for the United States of America. Sure, we gave it to you, and we fucked up the magazine, so it jammed constantly. And we kept the fixed version for ourselves.
Based.
But you paid us, so it's all good. Glowy says, when Disney said Magic Kingdom, they really meant the kingdom part. Yes, they did. And Lol V pops by and says, there is a Warhorse VTuber on Twitch. She talks about historical battles. Well, V, you are our pipeline to the VTubers, so fetch.
Yeah, pipe them on over, V. Get to it. You got a job to do, boy. Working.
And, you got to control them. We will seize control over them if you're not careful. Like, Viri, for example, will be conquered in Project Zomboid.
Conquered? This is, heading down a different path than I expected.
Conquered. Even though we had to give up on Koa this week because she came down with the monkey AIDS.
Don't worry. Koa's already banging at the door to be let in for PC.
There you go. Trucking Joe donates $10 with no message, so either there was no message or Susan is angry with them. One out of the two. The Commander 248. I stopped watching the Skaven Archie when Kibbs attacked the nice Chaos Dwarf King. I know. I don't know why.
Nice. Firstly, evil. Secondly, we're more evil. Gotta get in the cool kids club.
Knives asked Quing that was given him all his heart's desires. I will watch the result of Kibbs' actions eventually. Also, $70 is my limit. No worries, man. I am very, very thankful for your donations. You're a very generous boy. And feel free to curse Kibbs out for being mean. God damn it, Zafur was so nice to you, too. And that's the thing that annoys me the most. Zafur was so kind and gentle. He gave you so many things. Yes, he bugged your weaponry, but hey, you would have done the same.
I would have, but the thing is, the Zafur betrayal wasn't my idea. And it never was. But, Hans wanted to do it, and Hans having an idea was a cool thing, so we called it to a vote. Hans decided that he wanted to do it, so we went with it. It's a shame that bastard didn't get shoved out of the tower. We'll have to try round 2. That's where we're building up our army now. We will have revenge. We will have justice. Hans will get his wish. I guess. Not necessarily the way he thought he was going to get it, I suppose.
Question mark.
Ooh, Fairman's calling out V. He says V can't be trusted. Prove it by joining PZ today. That's true. He's betrayed. V's like, I will, American boy, I will join you in PZ, I promise, last Friday. He's like, okay, I'll join next Monday. And then he's like, well, wait, maybe next time.
Maybe there are many Mondays.
How many Mondays, V? How many Fridays? How many will you make us wait?
It is difficult to trust a Romanian.
Oh, God.
Noresian says, and when the state should give you money, it takes them months to get that organized and constantly ask for more paperwork that you already gave them. It's just the worst. Yes. See, that's the funny part. The state is of the opinion that you should be moving at a pretty snappy pace when it comes to paying the taxes, but when you're getting something back, can take a while. Government. And finally, the Commander 248 says, also, that's for Kibbs for saying I have no friends, but I mean it. If I was in that game, we have voted that decision so hard.
Well, that's why we had to vote.
Vetoed.
Poor Hans.
He just keeps blaming poor Hans.
Hans just wanted to side with the poor misunderstood guard. You just misunderstood. He was so sad. He was just drinking his whatever, sitting in a dark room. I can't remember. He really touched Hans's ratty heart.
He touched Hans, that's for sure.
Yeah, he did.
But now then, thank you all very much for watching this off-season, off-day, off-brand ArchCast. Meh. And thank you all for your super generous donations. And we will see you again with the usual time next week. And there will, hopefully, be some Skaven RP this week. I've heard no sicknesses affecting it, so I think we are on. Mm-hmm. And we can give Kyle the punishment he so richly deserves.
What punishment? You mean I need to be lavished in more rewards and more power? The last 2 episodes I've been getting unholy demon powers. And, demons.
Yes, which is why the enemies have suddenly started growing remarkably resistant to magic.
It's very strange.
Until then, thank you all again for watching, and have a very good night.